might be the most fundamental question asked about any aircraft. How fast can it fly? In the fall of 1947, a bright orange aircraft screamed over the California desert faster than any plane had before, becoming the first manned aircraft to fly faster than the speed of sound.
Chuck Yeager flew the Bell X-1 over the Mojave Desert in California on October 14, 1947. The flight was the first jet and person to break the sound barrier. NASA scientists used the elevator information they gathered from the test and they used it on other military aircrafts to revolutionize flight forever in those wars that we were fighting at the time. The Bell X-1 was originally named the Bell XS-1. The S stood for supersonic. No single jet engine was able to give enough thrust to reach the barrier, so they decided on a 4-chamber XLR rocket engine. In late 1942, he entered into the enlisted pilot training and eventually became a P-51 fighter pilot. The journey of designing the X-1 started in late 1943 at the conference hosted by the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics. Right before the flight took place, the Bell X-1 did not actually take off. It had a Boeing B-29's assistance to be transported into the sky. The B-29 was manufactured to be a bomber, but it was the first aircraft able to transport the Bell into the air. NASA had to create a hole in the concrete runway because the B-29 didn't have enough ground clearance. Chuck Yeager gave the Bell X-1 a nickname, the Glamorous Genus. It has other nicknames like the Bullet with Wings. The project picked up speed in March 1945, and testing and tinkering continued into late 1947, when the X-1, nicknamed the Glamorous Genus after Yeager's wife, was ready to fly into the unknown, as Yeager and his others called it. But just days before his record-breaking flight, Yeager broke 2 ribs and what he described as a disagreement with a horse. The accident earned Yeager some teasing from the project team, which gave him a raw carrot, a pair of glasses, and a piece of rope as a joke on the morning of the test. But he didn't delay the schedule. The injury hindered him, however. He had to use a piece of the broomstick handle to help close the X-1's hatch. The night before the flight, Yeager slept poorly because of his ribs. He resolved to only scrap the test if he couldn't manage the contortions required to get into the X-1 from the B-29 that would lift it into the sky. The first sonic boom created a prodigious amount of information. Chuck Yeager has been awarded many medals for his crazy things that he has done. The main takeaway they found was that the elevator didn't work on the tail, so they decided to move the entire tail of the plane. The elevator is at the end of the tail that moves the aircraft up and down. John Stack, a Langley Research Center scientist, was presented the Collar Trophy in 1947. Because of his research, it helped advance the X-1 to its soon greatness. Long after the test ever happened, the X-1, it's currently in Washington, D.C. at the Smithsonian Institution National Air and Space Museum. The monumental top-secret event was kept classified until 1948, but once it hit the public airways, Yeager became a celebrity. Chuck Yeager turns 97 this year, and he is most known for his record-breaking work as a test pilot. The United States has many hundred supersonic jets nowadays. The fastest jet is the X-43A and is made by NASA. It goes Mach 9.6, which is nearly 7,000 miles per hour, which is hypersonic, the fastest jet ever to go through the air. The X-43 was an experimental, uncrewed hypersonic aircraft which, with multiple planned scale variations meant to test various aspects of hypersonic flight, was part of the X-plane series and specifically of NASA's Hyper-X program. It set several airspeed records for jet aircraft. The X-43 is the fastest aircraft on planet Earth. A MiG-25 flies around the world in approximately 11.5 hours. The MiG-25 is the fastest military jet in use right now. It is a supersonic interceptor and renaissance aircraft that was among the fastest military aircraft to enter service. It was designed by the Soviet Union's Yeager Bureau, and it is one of the few combat aircraft built primarily using stainless steel. The main reason for the flight was to gather information to implant into military aircraft. When an aircraft breaks a sound barrier, there is a tremendous amount of drag, which can easily tear off the wings. It is named as demon drag.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, drop. Scores of people connected with the X-1 flight program have expected the aircraft to surpass the speed of sound, and maybe this is it. With all 4 rockets firing, Yeager climbs to 56,000 feet in less than 2 minutes. And he does it, the first human to crack the sound barrier. Now, with propellant exhausted, Yeager reduces his speed and altitude to come in for a dead stick landing at 160 miles per hour.
MiG-25 fighter aircraft made in 1964 are still faster than other fighters even from the 4th and 5th generation. The fastest jet fighter in the world. The MiG-25 frightened the US and its NATO allies when it was designed by the Soviet Union, according to the military-themed portal We're the Mighty. The turbojet design allows the aircraft to reach speeds of 2.8 Mach, around 3,500 kilometers per hour, or 2,150 miles per hour in operational conditions, or even 3.2 Mach, approaching 4,000 kilometers per hour or 2,450 miles per hour. Aircraft speed, combined with the possibility of maneuverability, will make Western aircraft far behind. However, after a Soviet pilot defected to Japan with his MiG-25 in 1976, the bloc tested the aircraft, knowing that it did not have a firing radar system, and was not maneuvering enough to defeat its competitors. When the SR-71 Blackbird was published by U.S. President Lyndon B. Johnson in 1964, the Soviets were shocked. The fact is, the State Route 71 cannot be ambushed by air defenses, making it almost invulnerable due to high speed and high altitude. The Soviets, however, had planes that could catch up at close range. The aircraft was the MiG-25 Foxbat and was originally designed to attack another deadly aircraft, the B-70 Valkyrie bomber. The Valkyries never operated, but the Soviets still pushed the MiG-25, especially after the State Route 71 was revealed. After all, it was the only plane that had hopes of catching Blackbird, and even then, it was a very, very vague hope. When the State Route 71 was built in very small numbers, the Soviets built many MiG-25s, nearly 1,200 produced. Some were exported to countries such as Syria, Iraq and Libya, but many remained in Soviet service. It has a top speed of 2,156 miles per hour, compared to 2,200 Blackbird miles per hour, and its main weapon is the Akrit A-6. A-6 Akrit is very large. Packs 150 pounds of high warheads. This aircraft has a maximum range of about 30 miles and can reach Mach 4.5. The Foxbat was originally intended to be a bomber-destroyer, but there is an atmosphere of mystery around this aircraft. The mystery was compounded by the extraordinary appearance of the reconnaissance variant before the Yom Kippur War. Soviet pilots flying from Egypt could avoid Israeli F-4s. That alone sparked a lot of worries in the United States.